So we're back. It was a low battery issue. So I could not have planned it. I could not have planned to be sitting in that moment, having this. It was almost like, it's like one of those experiences where people are like, they had their near death experience, and where their life flashes in front of them and they see their whole life previously. It was almost like that. It was almost like from the time I was born, or someplace at a certain age, maybe age 4, maybe that's where the gap of fragmentation had happened, and then I lost awareness of why I was called. And it was almost like from that moment, just this wave of energy just flew through my mind. It was like this visual, like, picture of imagery of like so many. It was like a wave of like, it was like my energy returning into me and sitting into me, giving me an awareness. It was like catching up. And so I was saying to myself, I was saying to my son, I'm like, oh my God, I think I found my calling. I was literally sitting in my calling in that meeting. And it's one of those things like, okay, light, I need this to be like this. Okay, the camera is kind of sideways. Camera, pourquoi tu me fais comme ça? Anyways, I know what I'm gonna do. So this meeting that I was like taking part in today, I'm gonna move this light. Guys, we're doing lights and stuff. Ooh, this looks good. That's too bright. Get back where it was. Anywho. Ooh. Let's do a screenshot. Ooh. And so it was a meeting for social housing, right? It was a meeting for the social housing. And 2016, even before that, 2014 is when I begun the journey of separating from a relationship that I was committed to. And then by 2016, I kind of struggled into like finding a solution in terms of like housing, because I was kind of a stay-at-home mom. Like I worked during my pregnancy, after my pregnancy, and so on. Like, so I worked contract work many times during the period of like being pregnant and having and giving birth. But I never planned. I used to watch this video. I talked about this before. There was a lady, and I think she's from Toronto, and she talks about the 3Ds or 4Ds, I'm not sure. And she talks about death, like when you pass away. She talks about debt when you owe money. She talks about divorce, and I think there was a fourth. And I used to watch, and I always felt like something was tapping me on the shoulder, like, but I always liked the show, and I was like, okay. And I never took it to like it could apply to me. And this is not shade to anybody or even previous people in my past. This is just more about like, we have to literally look at things in life, like life happens, right? And I think the fourth was disaster. It just popped into my head. I think so. And so it's like, you don't plan for disaster to happen. So that could also be one thing. And so I wasn't in a position to be able to rent an apartment and have me and my kids stay there and continue to go to work and be able to afford a lifestyle of being like having your own space, being able to afford, groceries, and being able to afford paying your bills, and being able to like just afford necessities. And so I literally had to go through this system of support, of financial support. And at the same time, while I was going through this system of financial support, of course, you have all these emotional struggles that you're going through, these mental challenges. so it's like not just struggling financially, now struggling with mourning the loss of the relationship, of the connection, of the commitment, then mourning like the ideas and the of the dreams that I had, and then also like struggling with like not having not staying in depression or not. And I feel like I did experience depression, but I don't understand to what form, because I never really acknowledged or knew that that's what it was. But I feel like it could have been, and I could obviously definitely tell you like postpartum depression for sure. And that was around the time that I actually separated from that connection. And looking back, you know, I didn't know that I had experienced postpartum depression. I didn't know that all these different moods and hormones and all these challenges and struggles and so on. And even though I'm familiar with depression, not personally, but my mother had struggled with depression. So just knowing about it, I never really understood what it looked like and what it looked like for different people in different stages. And so the meeting that I went to years ago around, I'm not sure what year it was, really had me realize I was sitting in my calling. And I just kind of left it, because I felt like the more I was trying to explain it, not even try to explain it to my son, the more I wanted to explain it to my son, the more I was losing, I felt like I was losing the connection to that feeling, that wave of awareness that was like given to me. And so I just left it. I was like, it will come when it comes. And something happened today. Something fantastic happened today. So today we're coming to the closing of the General Assembly. And I have benefited from social housing. And though I was aware of social housing before, I was aware of it from a form of like people who were in need use it. And I understood that. And I was never in a position to like to have thought that I would need it. Do you see what I'm saying? It's almost like when my parents separated, being an immigrant to this country, when my parents separated, my mother was in that exact position. Actually, my mother later years has worked and was not self-employed, but she was employed, and she maintained a job for years. And I'm actually very proud of her. That was something that I encouraged for her, because I wanted her to know what it feels like to be able to do that. But I also, as her daughter, I wanted to know what it felt like for my mother to be able to do that, because my mother was always provided for. She came from a family where her father was comfortable and he provided for her. And then later on, being married to my dad, in their first early years, it was tough. But then my father became really financially like secure, completely. He was very like, one can classify him as even have been wealthy. And so, and coming from a wealthy family, he understood what that looked like too. So I was born into like two people that came from a background of like having been comfortable. Like, there were struggles, yes, and different stages of their life, but that world of like wealth and royalty, they were exposed to that. And so even though my parents themselves have experienced financial struggles, I never saw myself like, I almost felt like removed from it, even though I experienced it within the home of my mother. Having gotten married and creating a life, I never felt like I couldn't provide for myself if I needed to. I never felt like I couldn't go out there and make things happen. I never felt like that as a young adult. I felt like that as a younger kid, in terms of like having experienced trauma and attacks. I felt like I would experience freeze responses, right? But it was like, that felt almost environmental rather than, I think it's later on in my years like that I didn't feel like social housing was something that I would need. And so as I slept through I was awake in my earlier, I was awake earlier in my commitment to this person. I think as we were coming into the closing of that connection, I kind of stepped into a lot of like dark days, in the sense of, I don't even want to use dark. I fell into a lot of like experiences that felt like despair. And so, which felt like I couldn't get a grasp of. You know how like Abraham Hicks speaks about like when something has so much momentum and it's like a cart going downhill, like you could be in front of it and try to stop it, but it's so far removed, that like so far gone, that it's going to do more damage to you than you can actually do it by stopping it. Like your ability to stop it is like, you have to kind of like have some sort of a strength to be able to do it. And I was literally in my awakening journey. I was like, that was the catalyst, that was the tower moment that kind of awakened me. So I was nowhere near having the emotional, the mental, the psychological, the physical strength to be able to like catch myself, or to have been able to avoid it, some of the aftermath of that separation, or during the ending of that separation. All to say, like, it's almost like I avoided it so much, and I denied the possibility of it, even though I kind of like felt it coming, knew it was coming, was kind of like needed to create the ending at the same time, because it was a connection that was no longer serving me for my well-being. And so in that awareness, so much was happening. I didn't have all the tools mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, psychologically to be able to like provide and take care of myself and my children at the same time. So it's like, here you are. Now you're going to go into the space of like being co-parent. You don't have a job, because I was doing contract work. You don't have a home. You don't have the emotional stability, because mourning the death of a relationship, it's like, that requires getting under the cover and staying under the cover, and not being able to do it just prolongs the experience. It just delays it, right? So you could do it when you can, and then you got to pause it. Do it when you can, and then you pause it, which is something a lot of, I don't want to exclude fathers, but a lot of mothers can relate to, is where like you're having a bad day and you don't want to be crying in front of your kids all the time, where you're having a season where you're just in this state of like muck, and like you're going through the wave of your emotions, and you're healing and you're releasing, and you find these pocket windows of opportunity where you're just going to step into, and you're like, you release, and then you like back to everything's okay. I remember I used to be in my car, oh my God, and I would turn the volume up and I would be screaming. And those are moments where I can release, right? So the divorce itself, or the separation itself, because I was not legally married. I was traditionally connected. Or even though that can be disputed. So in terms of red flags, I will insert that here. It's very important for two people to be conscious and to be fully on the same page, and to be clear about the type of commitment that they're going into. And if that commitment looks like legally getting married, if both parties are not wanting to do it, that's a red flag. And if you are getting married religiously, then it should be done religiously. Contract as well, with like going to the mosque or going to the church or whatever, like have those. And if one party does not want to do it, that's a red flag. Just sometimes we're young and we are in this space of like, we just want what we want. Have elders involved. Have people who, not just any type of elder. I'm not just saying like let any and everybody come and be your like counsel. I'm just saying like have people that you can really trust involved, and have that conversation with them and say, hey, this hasn't happened, or this isn't showing up. This is important to me. How can we have this conversation? So just a side note. Anyways, to go back to say, I was in no place. And I'm not making it seem like having social housing is something that is beneath a person, or that is not, that it needs to be explained. I'm explaining the process of how I had arrived there. I had arrived there because I was unprepared. And people could be as prepared as they want. And the times we're living right now, so many people that are middle class are struggling and going to food banks because it's like prices of things have gone up. Housing is expensive, and people are not getting paid enough. So the struggle in terms of financial comfort and stability is real. It's not just some made up shit. And so I didn't have any of the tools, and I had to go through it. That's part of my calling as well. I had to go through it to be on this side where I can have knowledge, tools, information about it. And so do I take it back? Oh, that shit was painful. Yes, I'm swearing. It was so painful, and no, I don't want to take it back. But I do need a moment to catch my breath, which I haven't fully done yet. And this is where that part of me, that aspect of me was like, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore. Okay, we're just not doing that anymore. And so I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. You know, the level of gratitude, like in terms of being able to have had social housing, to be able to like rest my head. I remember like I cried thinking like, oh my God, I don't have a home. Like how did that happen? And so I think with 2 or 3 years after that, I went back home. I went back home to Africa, and I was in my father's home, and I was home. I was freaking home. Like my father's home has always felt like home to me, has always been home for me. And it was a short visit, but I think that was somehow the boost I really needed. I needed just a little bit of that boost. Came back to my home, and I think things got worse. Things got worse. All to say, social housing came in amazingly. So sitting in the meeting today, I get this realization. This woman says, because we are talking about like the plan of action for this organization that helps people with social housing issues and crisis, which I sit on as a board member for the last, I think this is my 2nd year, but I participated with another board who also helps social housing, helps with issues in terms of housing for 5 years or so. So these are all like the organizations that have helped me. They have helped me to be able to be a provider for my children, to be able to co-parent in a way where my children feel like they have a home, and they, oh my God, it's like it has given me the opportunity to create the home that I've always wanted to create for me and my children. It has given me a break. It's almost like you're trying to create this vision, this desire, and you have all these bumps in the road, and then someone introduces you to a bench, and you're like, just take a break. And allow me to not simply just take a break, but to come in and rest and take a shower and create a hot meal and get changed and rest a bit and get our strength. Like, this is what social housing does. And it could be permanent, it could be temporary, it could be whatever the need of the person is. And that's what I've needed. I've needed a place to come and shower, not literally, but like figuratively. And to be able to show my children the idea of what kind of life I've always wanted them to experience. And it's taken me a little bit longer than I desired because my kids are getting older. And that's something that I also have or had been mourning, because it's like there's so many missed opportunities of like just raising them in peace and enjoying our experiences in peace. There's been more turbulence than rest. There has been so much more turbulence in the last 10 years for me and my children than there has been peace. But I've taken every opportunity, and they are amazing. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I'm so grateful to be a parent to these children, to have been given the privilege to be associated with them, to be able to stand next to them, to be able to share life with them, to be able to be anything in their life, to be able to be anything in their life. That's a privilege to me. I'm honored. Oh, I'm about to cry. It's like, it's crazy. How did I get so lucky? How did I freaking get so lucky that these amazing people were entrusted to me? I'm getting sidetracked. So anyways, this organization helped me. Helped me to be able to meet that purpose that I said yes to be their mother, right? Because if I was a single bachelor, like, tug it out, tough it out, all that stuff, like, it's hard to mobilize and move around when you are a group. And so I feel like many times, okay, I'm not gonna get sidetracked about so anyways, this organization has come through for me, like, and sometimes you feel like you're not deserving of it, or like, how did I get so lucky? And then you think about all the people who are like sitting there waiting and praying to have like the opportunity to just come off the street. Like, I watch these videos of these people that are helping homeless people, and homeless people just mean people who don't have homes, people who are struggling to put a roof over their head. And times are changing and things are changing, and so it's not about a lack of responsibility. It's not about lack of accountability. It's not about, it's you know, our soul is here to grow. Our soul is here to experience this human experience and to grow our soul. You're not getting anything to get nothing out of it, right? Everything that you experience is going to be part of your teacher's book, where you're going to now step into leadership and you're going to teach others, you know? And so all these people that are having challenges, they are in school, but at the same time we're being also like students of like observing, because how are we stepping in? How are we making sure that we provide and interfere and support and encourage, right? Like, do you watch someone struggling and you just stand by and say, that's not my problem? So that was something that was also brought up today. How are we showing up for like one another as a community, as a society? Like, what have we turned into? And so even just having that highlighted today, it's like, oh my God, we have been so far removed by the condition that we've accepted, that we as a society have participated in creating, and we as a society have helped maintain and support, where individualism, like, I grew up in a time where my family was around the neighborhood. I come from a community where families used to live all in the same home and share responsibilities and share wealth and share resources. And now it's almost like you're not anything if you don't live in your own or doing it on your own. It's hard. It's hard for a lot of people. And I understand that families don't all get along. And so it's harder because this is sabotaging this and this is trying to kill that and all this craziness that's taking place. And not even that word, like, I guess these videos like to say unalive, which I hate hearing. Like, I don't even want to say that. So I understand the need of not being able to like live in a communion, or like some people, like, we've come so far from that there are so many people, or I don't know if it's so many, but there is a enough amount of people struggling to make ends meet, which just means, and it's not separate from like people who are trying to balance their emotional maturity, people who are trying to balance their spiritual maturity, people who are like, it's just different areas. Finances is just one area. And so even though that plays in different areas of your life, because it will affect you mentally, psychologically, spiritually, it will just affect you overall. And so this lady says today, she goes, I think I had to write it down. I'm recording on the phone, so I can't read it. And she said about how people have to remember, like, and speak up for the fact that housing is their right. And when she said that, it's not like I have not heard that phrase before, but I heard it today, like I really heard it. And what I heard today was, no one has the right, like, you could be as industrial, you could be as like political, you could be whatever the term is as you want. The truth of the fact is humans, we've come into this planet and we have inherited this planet. This planet belongs to us. Find land and build on it. Find land and build on it. And so we have participated in creating rules and regulations and laws and policies that says you need to go through this measure to be able to have certain things. And one of those things is like you need 4 walls and you need someone to build it, and that person has to register with the city. They have to register with whomever to be able to build this home and make sure this home is built according to this. And then we're going to charge you for electricity and for water and so on. And it's going to be this. And then in order to live in it, it belongs to somebody. Like we're playing Monopoly. It belongs to somebody, and that person gets to decide how much the rent should be. And then in order for you to be able to afford it, you have to go to this space that has 4 walls, and you have to sit there, and it could just be, it doesn't have to have 4 walls, it could have 2 walls or whatever the space might be, and you have to put this many hours from your day. So, and then you have to pour some of your body's energy, whether you fueled it through food, water, or whatever the case might be, through rest. You have to put it into whatever the task this company is asking you for them to exchange, give you money, so then you could go pay this place that you're staying, and then you could do that. We've created a system, capitalist system. We've created this system that so many are struggling to be part of. First of all, it's a system that needs to collapse because it's a system that is not serving the majority. It's not serving the majority. And because of that, we have to be mindful to say, it's not about pointing fingers and saying we got to blame this group. No, we got to take this system apart. And whoever wants to hold on to this system, okay, unfortunately, has to be told to sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Okay? This system, I feel like my phone just took a screenshot of me, and I'm not doing screenshot. So that's weird. But we're going to keep going. So this system is, maybe because I use that word so many times, we have to take it apart to be able to like allow people to experience rest. People need to rest. People can't be like on this hamster wheel of go, go, go. And so it made me realize that there was this one leader of a country that is neighbors to the country that I am born in, who had this vision of, or not just had it, but he actually like implemented this vision of his citizens having like free housing, and they had brochures for food, and they had so on. It's like, that's how a leader serves its society. It serves its people. It's not making you suffer. It's giving you, it's helping. I think a leader's responsibility is to be put in charge, okay, to just hand out your wealth. That's it. Their job is to say, it's almost like to play the banker in Monopoly. You know how when you start Monopoly, everybody gets their wealth, okay, and they get to spend it however they want? That's what a leader's role is to be the banker who is just put in charge. Here is the wealth of every person within this country, of this planet, so on and so forth, okay? Not this planet. I don't agree with like, I don't mind the non-borders, but I think spaces need to have the individual leaders so people can decide what space they want to live in. And that's it. And leaders have told themselves, because they have created with their friends, that no, being a leader is actually taking advantage of people and taking people's wealth. No. So yeah, this world belongs to all of us. The planet belongs to all of us. It belongs to all of us, and few or how many, I don't know, can't decide. They actually cannot decide. They cannot decide how to redistribute. Not even redistribute, how to distribute our wealth. Okay? This is our wealth. The planet is our wealth. The fruits of this planet belongs to us. It's our wealth. If I take my wealth and I decide to invent and build a plane, then I do that. And then if people want to ride on my plane, I can say, here, you can pay me this much. Monopoly again. But we all start with the same wealth. Now, if we have not all started with the same wealth, then there's an issue there. The issue is then redistribute the wealth. Put it back in the hole in the bank, and everybody gets their portion. That's it. Right? And exchange as you know, barter as you want. So I'm sitting there, and I'm people that go, oh, we far past, listen, far past whatever. The new space that we're stepping into, physically, mentally, spiritually, psychologically, financially, all sorts, all of it, energetically, vibrationally, consciously, planetary, all of it, is the one where we create. We get to create it. So all the rules of if it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, participate in reality that serves you or doesn't serve you as far as you want. For those of us that want to participate in a reality that doesn't hinders and traps and causes others to suffer, so few or some can flourish, it's a mistreatment, it's a disservice. Who is actually going to bed sleeping well knowing that they want to maintain a system that is bringing so much trauma to people? Who's consciously going to bed sleeping saying, I actually want to maintain a reality that exists that causes others to suffer while some others are sleeping well at night? That's not the light. That's not serving the light. That's not love. That's anything else but that. Let's be conscious and clear of that. So when she said that, I was like, oh my God, like, can be. And we were all talking about how, like, people only want to focus on their struggle, not realizing that their struggle is not just, oh, because you're weak or you have an issue or it's something that you did wrong. Not realizing it's the system that we've all been contributing to that has failed us, and we have to create a new system. And it's not someone else creating it for us, it's us. It's us as a collective. It's not those who they know how to well maintain it that are going to create a new system for us. No, it's all of us collectively contributing, finding, showing up and saying and doing to maintain that new world, to be a participant in creating that new world that we want, and that new experience that we want. So, and then I remember thinking about how I went to visit this one country in North Africa where their government was also creating social housing for people to move in freely, to get them off the street, out of the tent. And I was like, oh my God, like, I felt so like life was making sense. I felt like life was making sense. And you know, sometimes you see things that don't make sense and you're like, is it just me? And it just feels like such a struggle. It feels like your mind, and it feels like you are in this box and you're trying to stretch and there's no space. You just feel limited. You feel compressed. You feel like just so limited. And so, or just not even limited, but you feel like you're in bondage. I rebuke that. And so I was like, wow, for a place in the continent of Africa that is doing well, mind-blowing. Like, this is so possible. Why are we living as if this is not possible? So it's almost like I wanted to blow the roof off my head. It's almost like my thinking, right? This is why they say where our consciousness has been limited. It's almost like a cap was placed on top of my crown chakra, and it's like limiting my awareness, limiting all that I know, all that I already know, all that I've come into this planet with, that I already know. So the top just blew off my head. It's like I could feel the light just like connecting to source. And then it was like, oh my God, why isn't this happening everywhere else? Like, who says living in peace is boring? Like, to be really honest, when you have been codependent, when you have been exposed to trauma, when you have been like in toxic relationships and connections for literally your nervous system recognizes dysfunction as fun, as normal, as like exciting. And I think we as a planet have experienced so much trauma from country to country. Just recently, if you watch the news, the hurricanes in countries, the wars that happen in countries, and even if you're not experiencing it yourself, being in those spaces, which I call them rooms, and this country that is this earth, right? Like if you're not in the Pacific room, but you can hear someone yelling at someone in the next room, or you can see something happen to someone and you're in that space, it's trauma, it's traumatizing. So we all have been exposed to trauma. And I remember watching this video and the guy was saying how like we were never meant to see this much violence. We were never meant to see this much harm. It's almost like it's this programming of violence and aggression, and it's like it's just there. And so we're becoming, it's like we've been exposed to so much of that we've believed and understood or retained and accepted in some form. I rebuke it. I'm saying we had accepted it as normal, that peace just seems boring, right? Like if someone is in a committed relationship and not having drama and toxicity and fighting, they find it boring, especially coming from like a completely environment where someone is doing that. So if you have a partner who's not doing that, some might be like, oh, this is not fun. But once you have really experienced trauma, you're like, such a relief not to be experiencing that. So all I'm saying is I get how and the mindset of many, because we've been experienced to this high adrenaline rush of trauma and violence and aggression, that we actually don't believe peace is doable. It's so doable. It is doable. We can aim for it. We can strive for it. We can fight for it. We can stand for it. We can represent for it. We can create it. We can choose it. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We can choose it. And so to understand that, and this director, he said in the meeting, he said, it is not a housing crisis, right? He says it is a system crisis. It is a system issue. So if the system is not working well, you have to change the system. So instead of calling something a crisis is like, you're cooking in the kitchen and your pasta sauce, your spaghetti sauce, tomato sauce is like going everywhere because the heat was too high. And then you have it's like you can manage a crisis. A crisis is an event of time where it's manageable, you fix it, and it's done. But a system that perpetuates, right? And it repeats itself because of the conditions that we put in place. If I take away your water, you're going to be dehydrated. If I take away your food, you're going to starve. If I take away your shelter, you're going to freeze. Just being in the heat, you're going to, again, like all of this stuff. So the conditions that the system has created that keeps, it gives you an apple and it takes away your meat. It gives you it's just like robbing you of things. It's not serving. And so you have the right to housing. I've heard it so much because it's part of their logo, it's part of their mission, it's part of their statement, it's part of their saying. But no, I've heard it today. Today I heard it. It is your right. Housing is your right. To be housed is your right. To be housed is your right. So if you have a leader that cannot house you, that's not your leader. That's not a leader who's doing their job. If you have a leader that cannot house you, immigration is a whole other thing, right? Because we're not going to get into the politics of how some countries go and invade other countries to take their resources, causing the people of that specific country, which whom their resources were stolen to have to leave their country to come into another country. And then that second country they come to, or that refugee country that they come to, now feels like, how do I then redistribute wealth to them, right? If you've stolen their wealth, give it back. One. So immigration is a whole political other thing. Let's take one country at a time. In one country, before we even say, let's bring in immigrants or let's not bring in immigrants. Let's do one thing. Let the leaders, okay, for all the land that exists, always, this is natural. This is natural until 20 years later or 6 years later, when you want to give it to your friends, it's no longer a natural resource. It's no longer a site that is to be protected. Oh, this is a protected site. It can't be used for this. People are on the streets. People are freezing. People are like suffering in the heat. People are starving. People are putting so much of their energy into work that it's like not giving them enough to pay their rent. That's not giving them enough to buy food. And we're talking about what? But what? So if I shame you, then you're going to shut up because it's your fault that you couldn't afford housing. If I shame you, then you shut up and you sit down. And then you won't ask for your rights. Then you'll be too ashamed to come into a space where everyone is suit and tie to ask for your rights. And if you are struggling with any form of mental illness or any form of illness due to the fact that you were under so much stress because you didn't have housing, you didn't know what you were going to do, you didn't know how you're going to feed yourself, and if you have responsibility, you didn't know how you're going to feed those responsibilities, those under your care, and so you might develop an illness of some sort. We all know that stress, we all know that emotions that are unhealed, unprocessed can create illnesses. We know that. How can we then know that and not take into effect that it's causing people to have illnesses that are then depriving and denying them from opportunities to be able to show up as their full self? And if they can't show up as their best full self, best version of themselves, they can go into a workforce that's then asking them to sit all day or to stand all day or to do whatever all day and give them pennies for it, which then they can't afford house. Is this cycle, is this system, right? And then if you show up and say, hey, I want my right to housing, I want my right to the fruits of the planet, the fruits that, and this is not irresponsible thinking. I'm not effing around. I'm not saying this to say this because as if I'm some kind of like, we're just gonna go out in nature and just breathe. Yeah, go out in nature and breathe, because you'll have some level of consciousness that allows you to say that thinking is the normal thinking. That is the right thinking. And thinking the other way is the conditioned. You've been conditioned to think, if you dare think about the planet having like fruits that come naturally, having stuff that grow naturally, that we can all make use of, is my right, is like, what is it called? It's like irresponsible thinking and mindset. But the condition of, oh yeah, someone is going to come and tell all of us how to do something that is actually not helping or serving us, but is traumatizing us, hindering us, makes more sense. Tell me if that's not being brainwashed, and tell me if that's not conditioning. Put all that shit aside, okay? So in all sense, this is not to get someone to lose their own personal power. No. This is not about personal power. This is about collective having the rights to what is inherently theirs. The planet is inherently belongs to us humans. We have every right to this space. We have our own wealth. Now, that wealth needs to be distributed accordingly, and people can do what they want with theirs. Right? If you take your wealth and you spend it recklessly, whatever, like it could be managed, but let's start with like, let people rest, let people have sleep, let people rest their head. People don't need to worry about, okay, being on the street, how to stay safe, How are they going to eat? When they're going to feed their children? When they're going to feed themselves? How are they going to clothe themselves? What do people think? It's like, it's actually your power being robbed from you, because worrying so much about what people think about you. The same people that are part of your society that have created this system that is fucking you over. Okay? That's who you're worrying about. And so if you worry about what they think, you're not going to go into spaces and say, this is my right. You are actually constitutionally, forget the constitutionally, because that's some made up shit we made. Divinely, as divine law says, you are robbing me of my right to be peaceful, my right to be fed, my right to rest. You're robbing me of that. And this is where, as a planet, we need to start, okay? And not to say it has not been started. We need to stand on. We need to stand on that. If a leader, don't even ask the leader to do anything else. Don't ask them you want university. Don't ask them you want hospital. Don't ask them none of that first. Start with, house me. A leader should be able to house you. That's it. Let the leader start with that. Okay? And what is a representation of housing? Right? They're housing that is functional, is well insulated. You have places where you can go for the bathroom. You have places where you can prepare your food. Then, are we planting enough food? Are we replanting? Are we just abusing the planet? Are we just taking the fruits and not treating where it comes from well? What are we doing? Then a leader wants to make sure that we have resources, or that our resources are maintained and treated well. If someone comes and they want to cut a tree down, right, without building 10 more, that person should be fined. A leader should be able to implement things that are solution-based, and not solution-based that are like la la la, and we're gonna, in 10 years, we're gonna solve all homelessness issues. What is homelessness issues? It's not homelessness issues. It's not food shortage. That's not what it is. It's not having the skills to be something that you say you're going to be. If you're not a leader, it's not even on the leader's like fault. It's the people. We are the people who have chosen someone to be our leader. We're the problem. Can't even blame the leaders for what. Somebody comes in like one of those like and sells you an idea, sells you some version of something, and you believe it, you take it. You're at fault. We are at fault. We've said yes to this. We have continued to say yes to this. We have continued to say yes to this. And we have to stop saying yes to this. Like in the US, there are people boycotting right now. And they are supporting only people in the community that are actually of them. And then I say of them, which means they are cheering for them. They are showing up for the event. They are like, if a company that is not, doesn't care about your struggles, why are you supporting them? So they're boycotting companies that are not, they're saying enough is enough. Enough is enough. We're mobilizing ourselves, and we're saying our money is going to be invested where we want. That makes sense. Right? But it's like, if there's a fear base of like, if I don't do this, then I won't have this. That's why we are staying in this condition longer. Because if I don't participate in a system that doesn't serve me, then you're going to believe, oh, how am I going to feed myself and where am I going to stay? Well, that's still up for debate, whether you support the system. If you continue to support the system, there's still a chance you don't know where you're going to stay, because housing prices is going up, right? And we have this all new idea of like, you're going to have nothing and love it that's been like sold to you. And then we have are you all going to live in this space where you can go 15 minutes to that and fit like all of that. So it's like, either have a say or like, you're still going to be living someone else's version of what reality should be. So in terms of social housing, I'm one to have been so grateful that I was actually ashamed, and I was actually like, I felt so humiliated accepting that help originally. I felt so like small. I felt like I was worthless. I felt like a nothing. And it's so weird. Instead of looking at it as my issue, that I failed me, that I am not, that I didn't have skills, that I was like, instead of like the conditions, like if a person goes through something like a separation, why is being on the street like is inevitable, or it's like very likely? Why is it very likely? What the hell? Why? That's why a lot of people don't take changes and don't make changes and don't step into like different paths, because the probability of it introducing and presenting an issue, another issue that is probably like more challenging, is very likely. So yeah, sometimes people stay in environments that are not best serving to them because of the probability of them having another bigger issue to deal with. Like sometimes when when people that don't have homes, that are on the streets, are interviewed, they tell you they lost their job, and after 2 paychecks they couldn't pay their rent, they found themselves on the street. Or they were in a relationship and something wasn't in their name, and like it's almost like, I think I saw it was like a statistics where like you're 2 paychecks away from being on the street, or you're 1 breakup away from this, or you're like are we just blindly participating in creating a demise of like our peace, our rest? I rebuke that too. So anyways, I'm sitting there, and as the woman says that, I was like, oh my God, I heard it. That's my right. It's why did I feel ashamed to go and ask for what was rightfully mine, to go seek what was rightfully mine, to go obtain what was rightfully mine, to have what is rightfully mine? Why? Why? Can somebody explain to me? And because we have created this other type of thinking and conditioning that if you didn't have this, you're unworthy. That's why we've been so poor at selecting stuff for ourselves as humans, because you think, and you see that people, and I like to let people have an opinion of me, and I don't like to go and change their opinion. If the opinion that you have of me serves you, have it, right? Because I sometimes go, if I was not born into a family that was like that came from wealth, how would I manage my insecurities and my confidence, right? Because the world that we have created tells you that if you're struggling, if you were ever to struggle in any form of shape, then you are automatically unworthy of respect. The first one that people throw out the window is respect. We're not respecting you. My parents, I am so grateful I chose these parents. There were many times that I was so angry at these parents, but I must tell you, for all that they have done it well. My 2 parents never have allowed or demonstrated to me and my siblings to talk down to anybody, to treat anybody less than. Never. That's not my upcoming, that's not my childhood, that's not what I've seen. I was never given the permission, the right to see anyone as less than. My kids don't get to do that. I'm checking my kids no matter how grown you are. You're not going to go learn a behavior and come repeat a behavior. You're not doing that. You're not going to attack somebody on what they're wearing or no, what they have, no. And people that have more material stuff don't get more respect. And that's the thing that is like, it's so funny to me. It's so funny to me because automatically, even people who have less, and because they don't respect themselves, so they give people who have more respect. And the people who are in that same level give each other also more respect than they give people who have less. It's such a is such a lack of, it's a deficit in terms of spiritual maturity. It's a deficit in wisdom. It's a deficit in cognitive awareness of thinking, of higher consciousness, of like, it's a lack of knowing of who you are. You can't know. And religiously, some people go, if I belong to God, then I am worthy. Yes. You're so beyond worthy. The fact that you were created to come into this planet, to have this soul experience, that makes you worthy. You're so worthy, right? And so as I observe and someone, imagine, and this is where I go. This is actually, I think some people, and I'm not saying it to judge in terms of like mental illness, but the people who rob you and come and tell you you're less deserving of, or you're less than, are having such a struggle in their mental consciousness and their understanding of reality. Like their fragmentation of self, they've been so fragmented from reality that they rob you. They come and they sit and treat you like you're less than. Imagine how psychotic that is. That's psycho. But I don't even want to judge and call them that, because in the Quran it teaches that sometimes when you're led astray and you're choosing the path of being led astray, that God will not even give you the awareness to know that you're being led astray. When you have dug yourself so deep in sin, the sin of, you started intentionally to mislead people. You started to intentionally lie to people. You started to intentionally like just soak and sit in like envy and jealousy, that it had consumed you, that you became that, right? You became this energy. You became this title. And from that space, you're operating from. And so God will deny you the awareness to even know, right? It's almost like you'll just be left on this path until you're called back to your source for judgment. It's like to show you like the moment where you have picked up this pattern of behavior, the moment you indulged in it, the moment you remained in it, and the moment you became it, right? It shows you your journey of like how you became something that was like self-defeating, that was literally taking you out. So it looks like anytime you are taking part in something that is harmful to others, you're preparing the stage for your own defeat. You're never preparing a different stage. I tell you, it's like you're preparing your own stage. And anytime you are serving, and you're serving and showing up in the world in a way that it's serving and is kind to others, you're only preparing your own stage. That's it. And so sometimes people go, they don't mind having a short period of time where they have like indulge in like fun experience at the expense of others. It's never it's a temporary expense of others, but it's a permanent expense of you. You are taking a chunk out of you. You're taking a chunk out of your deeds, and you're placing something you don't want there. Your good deeds, you're taking a chunk out of it. You know, I was thinking yesterday how, and I feel like I've kind of went in a round, and hopefully it was a circle, and not a circle in the sense of like closed circle, but like not even a circle. I didn't talk in circle. I've taken you on a path where I've presented you and shown you the point I'm trying to make, and I'll come back and I'll make my conclusion. I was thinking yesterday where I was like, because I found in the last 2 days people are really projecting. Oh my God, my heart. Like, people are projecting their insecurities and their lack of self-worth towards me. People are assuming if I'm standing in a certain space with them, that it must mean I am less than. How is that not a projection? Because I'm standing next to you, that implies to you that I should be treated less than in a way that is as if you're talking down to me, or we call it, you stand up on a chair and you talk to somebody. Huh? You want to stand over me because I'm in the same space with you? And so, of course, I've been a very good person who practice return to sender, their projection. And of course, as probably mirroring to them something they don't want to see, so they go, they nya at it. So that's for them to deal with. And I was realizing, I was like, wow, I've been taking a practice of, if you are sending me something that is not mine, that is meant to harm or do something to me that is not positive or that is not satisfactory, and I don't respond to it, not only did you just get that back that you've created and invented, but now you've also called my bad deeds to you. Imagine you're collecting my bad deeds every time you aim to do bad deeds at me, and I do nothing. And I don't try to hurt you. I just leave you. I let it fall to the ground. Not only is that deed that bad deed that you just created going back to you, you've just now, it's like, when you play Mario and it's like, those coins, collecting the coins, you just collected the bad deeds from me. You collected some bad deeds from me. Could you imagine? When I had that realization, I was like, if people only knew, they should leave me the fuck alone. Just don't bother me, right? And because we're here on this planet, we're working together, and as we're helping each other heal our soul, grow, and it's a part of our training. Like, how can people trigger you? How can you step out of character? How can people cause you to leave a space that you're supposed to be in, and so on and so on. All that shit, right? So all to say, I hope as a visitor to this planet, you understand that you actually inherited this planet. You actually have the right to be housed. Okay, it is your right. And I'm sorry that I am so sorry. I am so extremely sorry that somewhere along the way, your rights were not fought for. And you weren't told and shown how to fight for your right to have your inheritance. That someone, tricked you to believing that you are not the inheritor of this planet, that you absolutely are an inheritor of this planet. So the people we have put in charge to manage this are doing a poor job. Well, as a collective, we can make a decision to change that. We can find better leaders that are here to serve the well-being of the people who inhabit, of those who live on this planet, of those who are like the host of this space. We are, and we're passing it down to generations and generations, and we've inherited this planet. It is now ours. It is ours to use as we wish, as well as we are respecting the rights of others. Okay, you get your inheritance, do with it as you wish, that person, okay? And then we can make other rules and regulations that better fit and serve the collective. We, the collective, get to make it. So that gave me the passion to okay, all right, I actually know this. It was almost like, wait a minute, it is my right. It's my right. And leaders are confused about their roles. Like, oh my God. Leaders are confused about what their role. Like, have you ever appointed someone to do something? Like, yeah, we have, right? Like a bunch of our leaders. And they actually like get in the position and they start like feeling themselves. They start smelling themselves. Imagine a leader smelling themselves so bad. They're like, I'm gonna, what? Your head is getting too big. You're gonna do what? You're only a representation that we have put in place. We, the collective, have put in place. You're confused. Okay? You're completely, totally confused. So take a minute, take a pause, pull it together, because otherwise we're voting you out and we're doing it ASAP. Actually, we're not even waiting. We're just voting you out ASAP. Imagine the cockiness. I need to swear a little bit because I feel my spirit just pulling at me. The fuck? The nerve. The nerve. The nerve. The nerve of someone that you've hired. We, the collective, have hired to serve us. The nerve of them. Huh? And they're little minions. They think that they could be cocky with this and say that we're unworthy, undeserving of our wealth. The wealth that we have allowed them to manage, to keep an eye on for us. They are serving us. They are our servant. How dare you? People don't understand what the role of a leader is. They think a leader means I tell you what to do. No, leader is we tell you what to do and you implement it. That's what leaders are supposed to do. So take that word and go and adjust it. Because if that's what people are thinking it is, then they've misunderstood. And it is us as the collective. It is our responsibility. It is up to us. It is so up to us to go and say, oh, I'm sorry. You know how they say if someone ever says something to you in an office professional setting where like it's not clear, you got to repeat it back to you. Like that if I heard you correctly, this is what you meant. So you can say, has anything that I have said, if you are not understanding what I'm saying, I can clarify it. Do you need me to clarify what I'm meaning to say? If the leaders that are appointed in place right now are all walking around bossy, I'm the, what? Are not understanding the job, and we're sitting there feeling, oh, poor me, oh, I'm so scared. No. Okay, Ese, listen. Mr. Honey, Linda, listen. How did we get so confused? How did we get so confused to think that we actually bought the lie? Oh, that was a magic trick. Oh my God, this is a magic trick. This is a magic trick. Somebody comes and they go, da, and then they hypnotize you and put you to sleep. And then you think that they're the leader, which means they're the boss and you're the serving them. Not realizing that, wait a minute, you're the help I hired. I hired you to keep an eye on my, growing up, we had a room. Growing up in Africa, we had this room where we kept all the grains. We buy like in sacks of like large sacks of grains, and we had it. And we usually would stock up around like Ramadan time because, you're going to have a lot of people over, or you're just going to need it because you're fasting all day. So you have it because in the market, you don't want it to run low. So you want to stock up. So you have it for the seasons where like you're expected to cook large meals and stuff like that. And so imagine hiring someone as your financial. Imagine hiring someone as a financial advisor, and the nerve of the financial advisor. I'm so sorry. This took a turn to the truth and the whole truth. I think with the truth to help me, God, but I didn't even know. Oh my God, why do I not have tissues here? And where's the day going? I still got to do my hair for work tomorrow, okay? So we've hired a financial advisor, a wealth advisor, and the wealth advisor lost their mind. They saw all this wealth and they thought, oh my God, I'm about to have these people work for me. These people were so, I don't want to use the word S, okay? Because maybe we were a little bit S for letting some people like manage our wealth. Okay, we were a little bit, we're a little bit intoxicated with something. I don't know what that was, to allow these leaders to come into position and be like, I'm gonna tell you what to. I want to do an accent right now, but which one? I don't have an accent. Oh my God. So imagine. Oh, this would be great for that lady who does like comedy on Instagram about the weather. So it's like, no, we're the clowns. Like, we're the clowns for having trusted what was being sold to us, and they're like, yeah, manage my wealth. Yeah, manage my wealth. Yeah, manage it. Yeah, I trust. Okay, so go get your wealth. Go get your wealth. Go put your butt into a housing. And I'm not talking about like how the system is running right now. I'm saying the system needs to come apart and we need to create a new system. We need to put all the wealth back in the pot, and we need to make a list of what all the wealth is, all the resources, the natural resources that belong to this country, to this planet. Make a list. And then we need to make a list of who is who, what is what. Okay? And we need to redistribute the wealth. Okay? And we need to redistribute the wealth according to divine law, not religious law, not human law, not textbook law, divine law, period. Okay? So, that being said, that was fun. Oh my God. And it literally brought the leader who was passed to, okay, it was leader. He's no longer here. He was leading a country next to a country I was born in. I don't want to make this and I'm not afraid. I'm just saying, like, I want to post this video, right? I want to post it. And so, who was creating that for his people? Not for his people, for those he represents, those who have appointed him. And then there was another country in North Africa that was also doing that. Like, what? That when she said, like, housing is your right, I'm like, what? Yes. How did we forget that? So, just to throw a shout out there is the bus stop boys in Ghana. Oh my God, those group of people, the community in Ghana that are participating in this movement, and the reason it's a movement is because it's so necessary. When I went back home and I was trying to point that out, some people were like looking at me as if I was judging them. No, I was saying it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to take action. So the bus stop boys are cleaning their community. They are cleaning the sewage. They are cleaning their community. They're not waiting for someone else to do it. They are doing it. And not even the idea of it, because it's already active and placed in motion. I'm so like, they are leaders. That's a leader. That's a leader. Those people are leaders. That's a leader, right? It's not someone who, let me lead I'll be the leader and I'll tell you guys what to do. And we're going to go and we're going to meet at a fancy restaurant. We're going to eat and we're going to go and sip this. No, you go you see the areas that need improving. And no matter how dirty it is, you're like, we're going to go in the gutter. We're going to go in the dirt. We're going to clean it. How do you get to the root of things if you don't go to the depth of it? Huh? Instead of waiting for people to pick up the trash, they organize themselves and they're cleaning it. Oh my God. That's the leader. Huh? And it's not about appointing people to be leaders. Leaders are. You see, that's the difference. When they say leaders are born, leaders are born. The group of men who have created this group of men and women and the community that have joined in, these people are natural born leaders. They don't wait for someone. to tell them to do it. They don't wait for someone to pay them to do it. They don't wait for someone to assign them the task. They get up, they see it needs to be done, they get up and they do it. They get up and they do it. I am so like moved by it. I feel heard. Because when I went back home and I was saying it, I felt like I was judged because they thought I was judging them. I felt like, again, I felt like I felt coincé, like I felt like squeezed, like, right? And it felt like my crown, I felt squeezed, like my thoughts, my ideas, not just my thoughts and my ideas, but like my observation. So I should have said, you know what? All right, I got this. So I feel so honored to be in a time and space where I can share reality with them and how I see them show up amazing. And this director of this organization that I sit on as part of the board member, I've felt so lucky in many areas of my life. Like, I have to really say this. Even my past relationship, when I had met that person and we connected and started creating a commitment, I felt so lucky. So there's been so many moments in my life where like I just felt so lucky to take part in things, to be part of something. And this director is like, oh, he is in his calling. God has called him for this. Like, it is wonderful to me. It is magnificent. It's, to me, it's like, and I don't know if it has brought him more joy than pain or stress, but I hope, like, and his awareness of self and his awareness of his journey, that he, even if he knows he helped one person, he has helped me. Right? Because he's fighting for our rights. He's fighting for us to regain our rights. It's not just about putting us in an apartment, in a house, in a home. He's fighting for our human rights. He's fighting for our soul's right. He's fighting for our inheritance. He saw that we've been bamboozled. We've been bamboozled. I was looking for that word. We've been bamboozled, and he's fighting for our inheritance to be returned to us. And he can't stand alone. He shouldn't have to stand alone. And so as people like immobilize and they stand with him, I stand with him. I stand with him, right? And it's not about going up against people. It's about saying, excuse me, you over there, leader who we've appointed, who've lost their consciousness, lost awareness that they've been hired for a job, forgot that they are the servant. They're not serving us in terms of like bringing us food and picking up after ourselves. We can do that for ourselves. We've put them in charge of serving our wealth to us. If you don't want the job, don't do it. It's not a degrading job. It's a privileged job. But it's one that says you are to serve. It's a privileged job that says you must serve. And if you don't want it for what it means, step aside. But don't change the job. Don't call the job like, I'm on top of you, and when I come around, you better run, and you better bring me a glass that has no fingerprint on it, and you better bring me a clean water. Like, you tripping. This is our wealth. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but people need to get up. And I didn't like this expression when people say, get off your high horse, get off your high seat. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you have went and sat on a chair of leadership that's not yours. You can't handle it. We, the people, will choose who sits in a chair that we've built. We, the people, we, the collective, choose who's going to sit on a chair to keep notes of who has what, who's taken what, and what belongs to what. That's it. You're the banker. You're the banker. Okay? If you don't want the job of being the accountant, who, even a better term, You're the accountant. That's it. A leader in this frame is really an accountant. The accountant needs to get fired. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of accountants that are playing the role of a leader in many countries that need to get fired. They're doing their job poorly. Poorly. And we've given them even the job and the task of hiring our security, of hiring our protection, of hiring how come? Why have we given the accountant that job? We have an accountant for that. Now we as a collective need to go hire someone who's going to lead our security force. And our security force do not answer to that leader, not even going to lead them, who's going to train or who's going to keep an account of who they are. That's it. We need to hire someone who's going to keep an account of who they are, but we decide what they're going to be trained. We decide who they're going to be loyal to. We decide who they're going to serve. We, the collective. It should be like 10 people who have a job that we've put in those positions, and they never, even like the accountant who manages our wealth, should not have access to our wealth on their own. Like, it should take 200 people before they could go into our bank and get our wealth out and do something with it. But here they are using our wealth, negotiating contracts with people in other countries, doing whatever. And then we're just here like, we don't have a place to live. We don't have food to eat. Why? Isn't that crazy? Is that not insanity? That's the definition of okay, I don't want to attack the mental, but that's the definition of that's the definition of self-inflicting. That's self-inflicting. Okay? Causing harm to self. That's what allowing that to take place is. It's really irresponsible of us. As a collective, it is really irresponsible of us because we're self-inflicting at this point by allowing this system of people who are hindering and harming and causing so much trauma to so many of us to remain in the place to poorly serve us. If you go to a restaurant and the servant was a poor server, you're not tipping them. Like, if they do it one time, you're like, okay, maybe they had a bad day. But if you go back and they're always that way, you're not tipping them. You're not tipping them. And you might even ask them not to be your server. What are we doing? So for me, it's ignited a passion in me. It ignited a fire in me about not being ashamed of my struggles, not being ashamed of the fact that I don't have my inheritance, right? If you don't see me having my basic needs, it's because my inheritance was stolen from me. And I could tell you literally in terms of inheritance of kinship and inheritance of ancestral, right? In terms of within a family, within a country, within a continent, but also on this planet, inheritance have been stolen. Who's stolen this inheritance? So I'm gonna be able to speak freely about my struggles because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed of my struggles, of my living situation, the fact that I had the benefit of having social housing because of my just cause. I don't have to explain it. Just cause. Right? The reasons are there just because of the conditions in place, the conditions that have led to it. So, in my attempt to better my conditions, I feel like it's like that donkey, the sand being thrown on you, and you're using it to you're shaking it up so that it builds up so you can use it as some sort of a higher elevation to get out. That's where I am. I'm at that higher elevation. I'm getting out of my financial struggles. And I was thinking the other day, I'm like, man, You pour in so much energy and fuel from yourself, from the self, into activities that are not bearing fruit as it should. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, you could work 2 jobs and it's like nothing to show for it. That the math is not mathing. And so I hear a lot of, I think many people are in that condition. Many people are experiencing those conditions, like investing so much of their fuel that they have and not getting equal return. It's not balancing. So I don't know what exactly it has been ignited in me through just that statement, but no, I'm not taking it anymore. Okay, I'm getting ready to do something about it. Donc c'est tout. I talked your ears off. Hopefully you take one thing from it. And if I've taken you from one extreme to the next, and if YouTube does not let me post my video, at least I did it for me and I got to speak to myself. Because all I say is, I'm just talking to myself. If anything I say does not serve you, I hope you just leave it where it is. If it has served you in any form, and you think it's in any form, click the like button. If you think it's beneficial for someone else to hear it as well, and that they may benefit from it, may you share it with them. Please click on the notification bell so that when I post, as I don't post often, you'll be notified. And if you're not subscribed, why not join the party? Don't you want to join the party of doing the healing work so that you can also be the best version of yourself as you were always intended to be? Nothing less. We are all from the divine. So how can we be less of anything? We are all that is magnificent. Look at the sun. Look at the moon. Look at the mountains. Look at the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wildlife. Look at it. Look at the forest. Look at all of that. We are just as magnificent. And so I hope you honor yourself. I hope that you honor yourself with gifting yourself the journey of healing, of awakening, of returning back to the consciousness of who you know you are, of self, and that you align and become one with the divine, because you are the divine. Divine lives within you. Divine is you. Divine created you. You are an extension of divine, and as such, may you continue to love you. Je vous embrasse. Mwah. Bisous, 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 bisous. And yeah, go get your inheritance. Okay? It's not about fighting about anybody. It's not about going and trying to change the system overnight. Just know that. Just start there. Just awareness. I'm just letting you know you have inheritance. You have your birthright inheritance. And you need to go and let those people know who have taken your inheritance, that they have taken your inheritance. And you need to be loud about it. You need to go into rooms and places where they don't want you to come in. And you need to say, excuse me, you guys have stolen my inheritance. You stole my neighbor's inheritance. You stole my friend now down the street inheritance. You stole our inheritance. We only appointed you to serve us. And if you can't be a good accountant, you're fired. As a collective, we're going to come together and hire a new accountant. That's it. So I'm going to go feed myself. I'm so grateful, 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 grateful for my existence. I am grateful for my existence. I am grateful. Ooh, I'm grateful for my existence. I'm grateful I get to be here, especially for myself. I'm grateful that I'm here so I can experience me. I love experiencing me. I love having me experience me in different spaces with different people. I love experiencing me. So this is Fo. I am Fazia. My daddy named me Fazia, and we don't know why or after who. Still a mystery. It's out there to be discovered. If somebody knows, let me know, because I don't know. I've asked him, but you know how seniors and elders, they act like they don't hear you because they don't want to answer you. But that's okay. You know what? And divine timing. I serve the divine, right? So I know if I really want to know this, and if divine has prepared me enough to know this, I'll know. I'll know my victorious self. Because you know, my name means victorious. Oh, did you know that? Did you know I am victorious? And I am forever victorious? How dare you think otherwise? So, I say that's all. I'm an obedient servant of Allah, of divine, of the light of which I stand and serves through me. I am a recipient of divine love, and I'm here for love to pass through me, for me, and to extend outside of me. So if you get some of it, I hope you enjoy it. Otherwise, bye for now. Bye-bye.